The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. This is hour number 2 of tonight's special 2-hour show. We have some broadcast network specials, one before us that led us from, that took up from 10 to 11. And then we have another network special that is going to be taking up the regularly 4th hour of tonight's show. But tomorrow night we'll be back to the regular broadcast from 10 p.m. until 2 a.m. Eastern. Our guest this hour, Exo Nation, is Chris Grizzly, and Chris is in Kentucky. And Chris, welcome to the X Zone.
Hey, thank you very much, sir. Greatly appreciate it.
Nice meeting you, Chris. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from Kentucky. Got my own podcast, got a few of them going. I investigate anything paranormal. I interview paranormal. So been involved in it for many, many years. And I can tell you, things are real.
What was it that made you do what you're doing when it comes to the paranormal? Have you yourself had paranormal experiences?
Well, I tell you what, when it all started, when I was probably 15 or 16 years old, it was after my grandfather died, and I was down at the lake with my grandmother. And I woke up around probably 1 o'clock a.m., and I looked out on the porch, and I saw somebody smoking. And when they drew a puff on that cigarette, it lit the face up, and it was my grandfather. And it freaked me out. So I couldn't wake up my grandmother, and I saw this for 2 or 3 minutes, and I stayed up all night. I couldn't go to sleep. Now, I can tell you this, anybody on my mom's side of the family's always came back. So that's how I got started in it.
What did you think of? Here you are, a 15-year-old young man. Your grandfather's passed away. You wake up, and there he is sitting on your balcony smoking a cigarette. What were your first thoughts?
Well, actually, I thought somebody snuck on the porch to take some stuff off. But our porch door has a bunch of bells on it. And when you open the door, there's no way in heck that you can get by that door without making a bunch of ruckus. So That was my first, I thought somebody was actually on the porch trying to steal something.
Tell me, Chris, how much paranormal activity is there in Kentucky?
Well, I can tell you what, we have a lot of Bigfoot, Sasquatch sightings, Dogman sightings. We just had a recent Goatman sighting probably 2 months ago down in Louisville, Kentucky.
What's a Goatman?
If you Google Goatman, it's by the Nestle Bridge between Louisville and the other county down there by the creek just outside Jefferson County. And it's half man, half goat. Folklore goes that a lot of people go down to the bridge and commit suicide. A lot of people used to get run over by the train there and just lay there. But one of my investigators I interviewed was at his friend's house, and a guy come down and was like, "Hey, you're not going to believe this." And he was sitting there listening to him, and he was like, "Slow down, what's going on?" He's like, "Goatman." He's like, "What do you mean, Goatman?" And so he was just down here. He said, "Really? Why don't you show me where he was at?" And I'll be darned if he didn't take him down there to that area. And down there in that creek, there were footprints. And he actually casted them. And once he were done, he actually took them to the Fish and Wildlife out of Kentucky and showed it to them. and asked them, "What is this?" And they were like, they didn't know. So then he took it to Indiana, DNR. That's where he lives. And they were like, well, that could be a cow print. He was like, you think this is really a cow print this big and this far along, you know? Yeah. So they're becoming more recent sightings of the Goatman, yes. So
and you also investigate the Dogman. Is this a half human, half dog?
Well, there's so many different variables involved with the Dogman. Some has a snout, some are flat faced. Land Between the Lakes. Have you ever heard that story?
No, I haven't.
Back in the 70s, the campers were down there. It's called LBL, Land Between the Lakes. And a family was attacked by a Dogman. They found the two children 30 or 50 yards inside the forest line, up in the tree 30 feet, torn to shreds.
Oh, my God.
So that's a big hot spot down there when people go investigate. One of the people that I investigated that went down there last year and to try to meet up with some of the old timers to bring that back up, he stopped in at the visitor center and nobody was doing anything. So he just walked up and was like, hey, my name's so-and-so, and I want to talk about that incident back in the early 70s. And the lady's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, Land Between the Lakes, the Dogman incident. And he said her eyes got real big and just walked away. He's like, but man, where are you going? Hello?
Yeah.
So then he went down to the other end of the counter and saw this gentleman just standing there, not doing anything. And he wanted some more information. And lo and behold, he did the same thing. So they went down there to the campsite, which they moved somewhere else. It's no longer there. They do have eyewitness testimony from the civilians in the area at that time that will back up and does back up that the incident did happen. And it's not the only one that happened in that area, from my understanding.
Now, I know you also investigate Bigfoot. Is this the same type of Bigfoot that's reported throughout the other parts of the United States, or is there something special about the Bigfoot in Kentucky?
Well, there are different breeds when it comes to Bigfoot. I think there's like 2 to 4 different categories. People think they're warm and fuzzy and they're cute and nice. But people have to understand that these are creatures. They will turn on you. And what I mean by saying that is people will feed them on a regular basis. And let's say they go on a road trip or vacation and they come up to get their food and it's not there. Well, they get quite upset. So they will start tearing up their property, whether it comes to the house or anything laying around the shed and the fences and so forth. They get very upset. And you have some people that trade gifts with them. They trade trinkets, shiny things, little toys, and so forth. And there's a lot of people in Kentucky that are pretty protective of their clans of Sasquatch. And they'll tell you stories of them, but they won't tell you where they live or where they're at, so you won't go down and bother them at all.
I respect that because there are a lot of people who would like to get a Sasquatch for their prize instead of respecting the Sasquatch for another animal that shares the existence of this planet with us. And I know that there were several groups, one group in Canada, one group in the United States, that actively petitioned the government to give Bigfoot protection under the law.
That's absolutely true. We actually have some laws on the books in the United States and some states, and we also have city ordinances and county ordinances that's on the law, that's on the books as well, protecting them.
What I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you about this group. I can't remember who they are or what they're called, but about 4 or 5 years ago, they were bound and determined to go out, hunt, and kill a Bigfoot.
Oh, I remember who you're talking about.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this much. They didn't have any luck. And there's a lot of people that go out and try to catch them and see them. And they've been in this for 30, 40 years and haven't even seen one at all. And there's been people that I interview that see them every time they go out, and they show me pictures, and it's incredible. Mm-hmm. It's really incredible.
Chris, is there a connection between the people who see the Bigfoot and have these familiar encounters? Is there a common thread between these people?
Well, they say Sasquatch or Bigfoot, however you want to call it, mm-hmm. can actually tune in to your feelings and know that if you're good or a bad person, just like animals can. That's right. My consistency from my interviews. But, if they're already mad or pissed off at something before you get in the woods, there's nothing much you can do to change that attitude. Mm-hmm. Or if you get near the babies, the juveniles, they're going to become very protective. I got one guy out of Colorado. The only thing he does is travel across the United States and deals with the Sasquatch that tears up and cause havoc to people's homes and families. And he deals directly with the Sasquatch and by himself, and usually he takes a friend, but he was taught 15, 18 years ago, how to go out there and do all this by one of his close friends in the county. And they went out, and his buddy went around the corner, not even 15 yards. And they heard something. So he walked a little further down, and he lost eyesight of him. 10 minutes later, he walked over to where he was at. It was gone. He looked for hours, wow. Couldn't find him. They called the police. They called everybody. They had search parties, search dogs. They looked for days. They couldn't find this man. For 3 weeks, they couldn't find nothing. No clothes, none of his hunting gear, for protection, none of that. Then about 3.5 weeks later, he went back out because it was still an open case, and he found his hat way out off the track. And the only reason he knew is his hat because he wrote underneath the brim of his hat with a Sharpie marker of his name. So he left the hat there, and he called the police out, and the police come out, and he was like, look, I'm just going to tell you straight up. Nobody's around us. You know, and I know what happened to your buddy. And unfortunately, I know their kids want their dad's body, but it's not going to happen. We can't even find a trace. So.
Hey, Chris, stand by. We've got to take our first break. Thanks for joining us tonight. Really a great pleasure talking to you, sir. Exonation, our guest this hour is Grizzly Bigfoot himself, all the way from Kentucky. And Grizzly and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And welcome back, everyone. The X Zone is sponsored by our good friends at Beautiful Mind Coffee. Visit their website at beautifulmindcafe.com. The one and only Grizzly Bigfoot from the state of Kentucky is with us tonight. And Grizzly, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Oh, absolutely.
What is your favorite part of the paranormal that you like talking about with your guests and your listeners from all over the place?
Well, from coast to coast and all around the world, I like talking about a little bit of everything, because we are told what does and does not exist. We are told what we see, we do not see. We got monsters washing up on beaches across the world. Mm-hmm. And the first thing they do is bring a backhoe and dig a hole, the city or county government, and bury it. And I'm like, what are you doing? Get a flatbed truck, and let's take it back to the office. So it's either like they know they know about it, or did you make it? You know, who knows?
Who does know?
And I try to tell people, you know, no matter what you can do, you cannot draw a line in the sand and say, I believe in this, but I don't believe in that. Because as many as interviews, investigations that I have been on and interviewed people, you know, it's not little Johnny running around in a monkey suit in the middle of the night causing havoc, being drunk. You know, sorry, it happens. I know he's out there. But, you know, let's be realistic. You know, yes, we have a lot of fakes and phonies.
Sure.
And don't get me wrong. People ask me all the time, hey, Grizzly, man, is that picture or video real? Well, unfortunately, A, I wasn't there. Number two, I didn't take the video or picture, so I don't know. You know, it's kind of hard to judge something anymore with the technology we have. But like I said earlier, I have pictures that look like they come out of a National Geographic magazine. And I beg and plead with them, let me have them. Let me show the world what you got. Yeah. And of course, it always comes back to, you know, I don't want people driving up and down my road. I don't want campers camping out. And I sure in the heck don't want no hunters in my area when it's hunting time. So...
And of course, you have to respect that.
Yeah, you do. You know, I got a guy in Oklahoma that's lived there for 25 years. He's got a clan that went through 2 generations, and he wants to sell so bad, but he's afraid what's going to happen to him when he does. So he's stuck. Isn't that wild?
It is. It is. But once again, I have to respect him. Like, what do you say to a person like that who's putting his love for these creatures? Well, I shouldn't even call them creatures because that sounds so wrong. These friendly giants, you know, ahead of his own personal wants and needs. God bless him.
No, you're right. And you know,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No.
Well, you know, you said giants. Well, you know, everybody's going to say, here goes Grizzly. So just a real brief touch on the biblical reference. You know, unfortunately, there are so many parts of the Bible that are missing that has been taken out by man, which we all know about. And it explains in there about the giants and so forth, in the book of Enoch. And, you know, it's stuff that people don't want us to know that actually happened back then. And, you know, we have Indian tribes across the nation, and one in particular in the Midwest, that they got tired of the hairy giant taking their women and children and eating them back to their cave. They actually put a bunch of brush in front of it and caught the cave on fire and killed all the giants. So, and Davy Crockett also killed the Sasquatch in Kentucky.
Really?
Yep. With his musket loader.
Didn't know that. What's the what is the hottest topic right now with your listeners?
Bigfoot, Dogman.
Bigfoot and Dogman. Yeah, I guess so. Eh?
Yep.
Do you get a lot of UFO sightings in your area?
No, not in my area. We don't, but around the country we do. I had one guy that was abducted probably 24 years ago. And when I was first interviewing him before the show, he was like, yeah, Grizzly. He's like, you know, they took me from my house and I was on this ship. And I'm thinking, oh, Lord, here we go. And he got talking. He's like, you know, then I woke up and I was at home. I looked at my arm and gave me a tattoo. I'm like, what? What do you mean they gave you a tattoo? And he says, I want to show you the before and after picture. I'm like, what are you talking about before and after? He said it bubbled up like a burn for 3 days and healed within 3 days. Then it morphed into a different formation and has symbols embedded into his arms. Now, this first tattoo didn't do this, and it wasn't a cover-up. It wasn't a redo, and it wasn't a laser treatment. That was unexplainable. So he met with the aliens, and they were telling him what's going to happen to the Earth and when they're coming back and where. Supposedly they're coming back to Florida. He wouldn't tell me the date. So he pretty much sold everything he had and moved to Florida. So he's just waiting.
A true believer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there a lot of haunted locations throughout Kentucky?
Yeah. We're real famous for the asylum here, Waverly Hills and Louisville.
Right, yeah.
And what's really weird about it is my mom used to work there. And I used to remember going in there with my dad and getting chewing gum out of the vending machine. So that's pretty weird, seeing what it is now.
It is,
But we have some older churches and some remote locations, the Appalachian Trail. That's a real hot zone for paranormal activity and Bigfoot and Dogman, allegedly. So,
why do you think that, for example, in the Waverly Hills, 95% of all of the paranormal groups that have come on this show over the last years have all gone there? Why do you think these spirits, or the reason why this place is haunted still persists after all these years and all these people who've gone there to investigate?
Well, imagine somebody coming to your house every other day.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to mess with them.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, you're going to mess with them. That's why I see the shadows. That's why I see the balls move on the floor and hear voices in the far distance where you can just barely make out their voices, but you can't understand what they're saying. Things are being tossed and thrown about, in rooms. So yeah, that's my belief. And that's what I gathered from all my interviews as well.
Where is the most haunted place that you Grizzly, have gone and investigated?
It was an old cemetery in southern Indiana. And I think some of the graves dated back to 1670. And one of the catacomb tombs. And I'll never forget this. I was out there with the flashlight, me and my buddy, and we heard this god-awful noise, like this door was being dragged open. Well, I immediately turned to that tomb that was 50 yards away from us. It was only 12 foot tall, very decorative, and the door was still moving. Well, I can tell you what, Grizzly was too.
I don't blame you. I'd be doing the same darn thing myself.
Yeah, I didn't stick around.
No, Grizzly, why do you think that some people have the ability to have these paranormal experiences, and then somebody could be standing right beside them and they have no clue whatsoever?
I run across that quite a bit. And it seems like, and this is where you get in some debates, where the creature or beast or animal, whatever you want to call them, will only be seen to certain people. How they do that, I have no idea. They say sometimes they telegraphic talk to you. You can hear voices inside your head. I've heard people that actually stood side by side and watched one walk across the road, and two people were watching the road and only one saw it walk.
Yeah.
And they're like, "You didn't see that." He's like, "See what?" And I'm like, "You got to be joking." So, and then there's the cloaking factor. Now, not a trick question to ask you, sir, but what color is a polar bear?
All right, a trick question, and I see it. The ones I see in the on TV are white.
Right. They're actually black.
No.
Their fur is like fiber optics. It's soaked in the background. So where they're on the snow and ice, they're white. And that's why when you see them around dirty ice, dirty snow, that's rather that they have the yellowish on them. Yellowish
Interesting.
brown. So yeah, it really is.
So are we saying that this is all a matter of perception?
It could be. Everybody has their own opinions, their own encounters, unfortunately. But they're not too far off the path when you go to interview people. They're all in the same categories. So, like I said, you can't draw a line in the sand and say, I don't believe in this and that, because every time you do, you have to move the line.
What is your opinion on the thought by some UFO investigators and some Bigfoot investigators that there's a connection between UFOs and Bigfoot?
Now, you do have a lot of people that say they either see Bigfoot before or they see them after UFOs or orbs. Now, the people I have interviewed and spoke to over this past year, no one could collaborate putting those two together in the same sentence. Now, they have witnessed seeing them both, but not at the same time. So I'll let your guests pick that apart for themselves.
Grizzly Bigfoot, stand by. We've got to take our break, and we'll be back discussing more of the strange, the weird, the bizarre with our guest this hour, the one and only Grizzly Bigfoot. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We'll be back. Don't go away. Welcome back, everyone. Grizzly Bigfoot is our special guest this hour. And Grizzly, is there a website people can go to find out more about you and your show?
You can go to anywhere on Facebook and type in Grizzly Bigfoot. And my YouTube channel is Grizzly on the Hunt. And we got a lot of new things coming up this year that a lot of people are going to be very happy about. So,
all right. The paranormal seems to be gaining more and more popularity. And in that, I'm putting Bigfoot, I'm putting UFOs, alien abductions, and so on. Why do you think after all this time, the ball is still rolling, collecting more and more viewers, listeners, and readers?
Well, a lot of people will tell you we're having more encounters than we ever had before in the past, which is not true. What we are seeing is that today there's a lot more people coming forward and sharing their experiences. And some of them are not recent. Some of these are 10, 15, 20 years old. And I'm taking deathbed confessions from people that actually work for the government, and they tell me, what is the government going to do to me now? I'm dying.
So another question I have for you, Grizzly, is why do you think that the governments of the world are suppressing the information that they have when it comes to UAPs, UFOs, extraterrestrials, and so on?
Well, I can tell you this. And the American people, unfortunately, cannot handle the truth. Why is it now the U.S. government showing pictures of UFOs of Satan? Hey, look, we're catching UFOs on film. And they're just now coming forward with that, but they're slowly leaking it out. So where are they going to, or which way are they leading to that's going to come out sooner or later? Independence Day with Will Smith. A lot of people don't know that movie was scrubbed 13 times by the government before it was released in the movie theaters. Now, is that not amazing?
It is. It is. 13 times.
13 times before it was approved to be released.
Why would the government need to release approve a movie to be released? That's a little bit too
Well, that I couldn't answer. The same thing with Star Trek and some of the TV shows my dad grew up on. It's awful weird that it became reality. Some of the technology. I mean, you look 115 years ago, we were still in our cart and buggy, horse and buggy, and
Right.
look at us today. I mean, the first calculator took up a whole business floor in the government building.
And now we have so much data available to us in the palm of our hand.
And they say the military is 50 years advanced from us. Now, don't forget, in 54, Eisenhower signed a treaty with the aliens, allegedly. The granddaughter came forward and admitted. And the guards inside and outside, before they died, they came forward and said it did happen. So what was the treaty about? We can speculate.
Are we talking about MJ-12 here?
Could be.
Okay.
So, what was signed for in exchange for maybe technology? What do we give up to the aliens?
Good
we had
question.
to trade something.
Yeah, that's a good question. But what did we have that they want? Water, gold, electricity,
human
land.
beings.
Yeah, human beings. Now, I had a guest on a couple of years ago who was telling me about how the aliens made human slurry to eat. That was rather a strange hour, let me tell you.
Yes, absolutely, that is. And I have talked to quite a few that states that they have witnessed that technology on board on the ships, and they have PTSD to this day. They have horrible nightmares of it, and they can't get it out of their head, and they freak out every time that something flies over their head. So, I mean, not all these people are making up stuff, I mean, you got to imagine some of them are actually telling the truth.
That's the scary part. Where this, I'm trying to remember. There's a place in Los Angeles where beneath it, beneath the Getty in Los Angeles, there's according to one of my guests, an ET not landing, but like a lounge where they all congregate. And they're saying that a lot of the people who go missing in Los Angeles, the homeless people, are actually being ingested by these ETs.
Yes, I've heard about that.
Yeah.
And I actually interviewed quite a few people on that. And one of the things that kept occurring in my interviews with people is that when he signed that treaty, allegedly, which we don't know for sure, but exchange for technology, we would let the aliens abduct women so they can impregnate them and come back before term due and withdraw the baby from them and return them to their natural state. And they go to the doctors, and the doctors does not have any idea how this happened.
Yeah.
I actually consulted a real true psychic 2 weeks ago. And I interviewed her, and there's a lot of people that are going missing in Alaskan Triangle, over 60,000. That's not counting the national parks, Yellowstone, Yosemite. That's not counting even an Appalachian Trail. So I asked her a question, what's going on with the Appalachian Trail? Is it supernatural? What's going on? And how I know she's for real is she drew my old house that I used to live in. She drew how to get in my house, where the stairs were, both sets, where my dining room was. Then she told me where I live now and drew the same thing, even where I slept with my headboard. She's done a lot of good things. So I asked her that question. Appalachian Trail, what's going on there? And she doodles on paper when she goes into her trance. And she says she's seen a lot of bodies being buried. There are some things that are causing people to go missing that she cannot explain, but she's seeing bodies buried everywhere and somebody's digging holes. Well, that tells me part of the story about serial killers are actually out there on the loose.
Chris, stand by. We've got to take our final break. Wow. The one and only Grizzly Bigfoot is our guest this hour, Exonation, and we'll be back as we wrap up this hour and tonight's show right here from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. We're back. Grizzly Bigfoot is our guest this hour. He is in Lexington in the state of Kentucky. First of all, Grizzly, thanks very much for joining us tonight. Great pleasure talking to you. Conspiracy theories. Do you and your listeners cover those?
Yeah, we do talk about them. There's so many out there. I mean, where do you want to start off at?
All right. Okay. Based on the Grizzly Bigfoot listenership, what's the number one conspiracy out there?
Oh, it's always the man in black does not exist anymore. They come to you dressed normal, so beware of that. That was back in the old days.
Oh yeah, I remember those days.
Yes, I actually had a friend that's a little bit older than me that got actually paid a visit by a person in black. That was very interesting for him. He was threatened, and he will speak of it off the record, but not on the record.
Mm-hmm.
There are other people that have live shows and have had encounters and has proof, and they'll be in the middle of a live show or something like you are, and next thing you know, the computer will get shut down and the internet gets shut off. And it doesn't make any sense. I mean, is it coincidence? Who knows?
What about Area 51?
Yeah, that's old news. They moved somewhere else. Yeah.
Skinwalker Ranch?
Now that's very interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I mean, they're still having paranormal activity to this day that they cannot explain. And, they say there is an underground establishment, but they cannot get to it because it's filled with water. Now you're out in the middle of this desert and it's filled with water, and there's a sign that says, and it shows a picture of a fish, this is a protected species. You may not enter this area. Really? One fish? Come on. I mean, who's really going to buy that junk?
Nobody I know. How about you?
No. But I tell you, a lot of people do.
Really?
I mean, it's sad. It really is. And, the government has a censorship on a lot of things we can hear and do not hear, unfortunately. So I don't put any faith in that anymore.
But that's why people like you have a show, Grizzly, because people want to know what is really happening out there. So keep up the great work, my friend.
Oh, I appreciate that. And we will definitely keep the truth alive. Absolutely.
Grizzly, we've come to the point where I've got a couple of minutes left to share with you. Again, thanks very much for coming on tonight. Great pleasure meeting you. What are your final thoughts, your words of wisdom for the X-Zone Nation tonight?
From coast to coast, all around the world, keep an open mind. Never draw that line in the sand. Be open-minded and believe, because the truth is out there. Grizzly
Bigfoot, take care of yourself, my friend. And I look forward to the next time you and I chat, either on this
Absolutely.
side or that side. Take care. Keep us, if anything interesting comes up, I'll let you know. And if you see something that's weird, strange, bizarre, more than we've talked about tonight, let me know. Take care, Grizzly.
All right. Thank you all.
All right. Bye-bye, bud. Wow, what a guy. Exonation, that was Grizzly Bigfoot. Well, that's it for tonight, Exonation. I'll be back tomorrow night at 10 o'clock as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And we come to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the iHeartRadio Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, X-Zone Broadcast Network, and of course, Channel 54, the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. So until tomorrow night, thank you to my studio producer, Craig West, programming director, Mac Alexander, and my wife, the lovely Laura Rogers, who is my senior executive producer. Get the coffee ready, honey, and make sure it is Beautiful Mind coffee. I'm on my way home. So until tomorrow night, Exonation, always keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night, everyone.